Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are, first episode of the week, which is called This Week. Actually took a lot of prep today. Had to get the computer set up right, had to make sure there wasn't any glow, so I took down all the new albums, which were in that hole up there, which were just glaring and making a whole mess of everything. Took them down. Because we'll be doing them anyways, so that's fine. A couple of, because it's the end of the year, we got shows ending and shows beginning, so there's a lot of prep to be involved here. A couple of new series that are going to be going on, so I had to kind of get myself prepared for both of them too, and then have to decide whether I'm going to start both of them the same month, the same week, this week, or maybe space them out a bit. So there's a lot of different stuff going on here, so I'm going to get to it. So for those of you who are new to my channel, please subscribe. That's much appreciated. And also I'm going to give a little bit of an explanation about how this particular episode works and how my channel works in general. So because it's a new year coming up, there will be some moving around. Not 100% sure yet what exactly is going to happen, but there will be a few shows that won't come out the first week. And I'll explain all that as I go. So basically this episode just explains what's going on my channel, the content, how I organize it, and why I do it that way. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. I talk about what's going to be going on the channel for this week, what's coming up in the weeks and months ahead, and sometimes I go back into the past. So I will be going back just once this week, and that is just nothing serious, just a couple of episodes that came out late, pretty much based on use of the new computer. Sometimes it takes forever to upload. Part of that problem, when I didn't realize it, is when I have the other computer running, it slows it down as well. So I've discovered that. Also still trying to work to get the screen on the other one to flip so that when I hold something up like this, you can actually read it. I haven't got that yet. I haven't figured out why that's doing that or how I can flip it. I haven't tried just about everything I can think of. So, but we'll get to it. It'll eventually happen. So that's basically what's going on. For those of you who are new, I'm glad to have you aboard, and I hope you're going to enjoy some of the content we do. So the first episode, of course, is this one, which is kind of the organizational episode of the week. Comes out usually around noon. This week's going to be a little bit later, probably in the 1 to 2 range, somewhere there, because of all the organization that I had to go through to get it ready. But normally it's a noon episode, and then it's followed at 8 o'clock tonight by Commonalities Compared, which is a show I do every Sunday night. This show involves a subscriber of mine named Ben. What he does is he picks 2 rock commonalities, usually either 2 bass players or 2 guitar players or 2 drummers or 2 bands or 2 albums or 2 of something in common. So today he's decided on a couple of keyboardists. Both these keyboardists I'm not 100% familiar with. I do know, of course I know their work, but I'm not as familiar with listening to their music regularly. They are John Lord of Deep Purple and Keith Emerson of ELP, a band that I don't really follow all that much, but I'll do the best I can with that episode. That episode will come out tonight, and basically I'm just going to be talking about what they have in common and why they are put together here in this particular episode. So the next episode up is Monday night's look back at a classic rock album. This is the oldest show on the channel. It's been around since the first week that I did it, even before I had all this organized and before I even called it, put it on the Monday nights and had it as a show. It was going on even then. So it's called Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. Basically the definition for me of that is anything older than 15 years that ranks a 2, a high 2, a 1, or a masterpiece album for me. In order to get on that show, you have to have that. There's a lot of leeway towards the bottom of the 1s and 2s because there's a lot of albums that fall in that range. Not as many masterpieces or high-end ones as you would call them. So today's look back, actually, for commonalities compared, I should have actually showed you these two, but I'll give you a little bit there. So that you got Deep Purple's John Lord and Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So the next episode up, look back at a classic rock album, which will come out at 8 o'clock on Monday, will feature this album, which I got recently, even though I owned it originally in vinyl. Also had, I think I may have had it in cassette as well. And I can't remember exactly, but I know I had it in vinyl for sure. I remember buying it, I remember bringing it home, I remember wearing the vinyl out. But anyways, those all went to my sister. But recently, about maybe a month or two ago, I purchased this album, and I listened to it this week again and decided that this was going to be the album I did to start, kind of end the year off on. I look back at a classic rock album. Fantastic album. For a long time, it was probably my second favorite Triumph album. It's been passed by Allied Forces, but only because I've owned Allied Forces for a while, and this one I haven't. So they might flip again. You never know. Fantastic album. So we're going to be doing this album for look back at a classic rock album this week. That should please at least one person I know. The next show up, Wednesday Night Favorites. This will be, of course, the first episode of the new year, so New Year's Day episode, my favorites. I'm going to do, thought about how I wanted to approach this. Wasn't quite sure how I should deliver this, but I thought I'd just go straight forward with it. So it's my 21 favorite albums that were on my playlist for 2024. So I have a playlist that I follow. Most people know about this who follow the channel. And I have albums that are in that playlist. So the longer they're in there, the higher they're going to be. Of course, the ones that rank higher, like I usually give you my top 5 albums of the month. And those albums are going to be amongst those albums as well. So I'm going to put together a list of those albums that were in my playlist for this opening episode. And then we're going to do some, probably in the next week or two, I will do a Beatles ranking of the Beatles discography. I don't do a lot of rankings. Some people have noticed that. It's because if I don't own the entire collection, I don't feel it's fair to rank them. But I own the entire Beatle collection now, so we're going to be doing that. So that will be on the Wednesday. But before I get too far ahead, I forgot that on the Tuesday, we normally do another show, but that's going to be canceled. I'll talk a little bit later about that. This week we're doing new albums released or new albums purchased. That's an episode that I do at the end of every month, in which I talk about the albums I purchased. I generally, if they're new, I'll unwrap them. If they're boxes, I'll unbox them. And if they're used albums, which is quite a bit of them, we'll just go through them and talk a little bit about them and why I chose them, and just a normal new purchases. A lot of people call them album hauls. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll interchange the two words, but for listing on this channel, it'll come out as new albums purchased. So I have, I've got a few this month. I think there's like 13. There may be 14. I'm just waiting on one more to come in the mail. It's been taking forever. And most people who live in Canada knows how long it takes the post office to get around to anything normally, and now they're they were on strike. So that show will come out sometime probably at noon on Tuesday. So hopefully, or it might come a little later. I think I'm working till 3, so it might be a little bit later, but generally speaking, I'm going to try to get it out by noon on Tuesday. So that's my new albums purchased, which will come out again Tuesday, probably around noon. And we've already talked about favorites, which will come out 8 o'clock Wednesday night. And will feature my 25 favorite albums on my playlist for 2024. The next show up is Thursday night, and it's so this is a show that I do that's alternating. It alternates with another show, so we have big surprises, which we did last week, and this week it will be not what we hoped for. This is a show in which I talk about an album that I generally like a lot, but for some reason I had a higher expectation of it. It's not really anything logical. It just when I got the album, I had expectations of it being way up here, and then maybe it didn't quite make it there. So that's kind of the way it is. So I don't want to give anybody an impression that I don't like these albums. These are all albums I like a lot, but I wanted to like them more, to be honest, but that's what it is. So that'll come out Thursday at 8. And then Friday we're going to do our live stream, which I do now every Friday, into the Progverse. This is a live stream that starts at 8 o'clock. This week we're going to continue with the series of events I've been running. So I've done rock guitarists, 10 rock guitarists, 10 progressive rock guitarists, 10 progressive rock bassists. This week it'll be 10. Did I do the drummers last week? Yeah, I did do the drummers. So this week it will be the keyboardists. We'll be doing the keyboardists, my top 10 favorite kind of progressive rock keyboardists. There's actually 1,000 of them. Many of them I love quite a bit, but I'm going to nail it down to, well, maybe there's not 1,000. That's probably an exaggeration. There's probably 50 or 60 of them that I like, and I will probably nail it down to about 10 or so. Sorry, I have a tendency to exaggerate a bit once in a while. So anyways, that's what we're going to do for the live stream. That will start at 8 o'clock Friday. Hope to see you all for that. And then usually on Saturday I do What's New, which comes out comes out 8 o'clock Saturday night, but that episode has been canceled for this week, primarily because I looked over what's available by that time on Saturday, so that's only the 4th of January, and there really isn't anything I really want to do, so I think we're going to pass on that one for this week and just give it a week's rest and give me a bit of a rest too. So that's it for the regular channel shows this week. For the following week, the new series, the mini-series so we just finished, I believe it wasn't Nomads, it was, I can't remember the name of it already. Oh yeah, the mini-series of the Bands by the Numbers, that's what it was. Couldn't remember what it was. So we just finished Bands by the Numbers, from which I did a mini-series on six episodes, basically. One with 6-man band, 5-man band, 4-man band, 3-man band, 2-man band, which is a duet or a duo, and a solo artist. I picked those. This was a series that Ben gave me. We picked, or he gave me the series, and I put together the each episode, which featured each of these 6 categories, and then we talked a little bit about it. So that series completed last week. I was going to start a new one this week, but I think I need a little more time for this one. So the new series will be about the first 3 albums of a band. So I'm going to pick 6. It's going to be a 6-episode series again, in which I have 6 bands that their first 3 albums were fantastic. So I'm going to pick my best 6 bands with the best three albums start. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to call it yet, but it'll be ready by next week. I need a little more time to go through this. To be honest with you, it's difficult because most bands, when they start out, take a little bit of time before they get to their strong suit, which usually occurs maybe in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th album. Some of them even later. But generally speaking, a lot of bands don't have great debuts, or don't have that second album wasn't fantastic, or maybe the 3rd album was a bit of a drop. So it's difficult to put together, or in most cases here, a lot of bands I haven't listened to all of their discography, so pretty hard to give them a high rating on an album I never listened to. So I got to put together 6 bands though for that. Then the current series we are running, of course, which will end up this week. So I'm going to have 3 episodes. Well, actually, today's episode came out this morning. So we have tomorrow and Tuesday's episode to do. Plus, I'll probably do an honorable mention. So this is my 31 favorite albums that were released in the month of December from any year in rock history. I think my earliest one was 1963 all the way up to 2024. So I have 2 albums left to do. It was very, very difficult to pick one over the other, but I had to put them in an order, so I put them in the order that I want. I'm somewhat confident with it, but today I was thinking maybe I should flip it the other way, but we'll see what happens. I think we're just going to go with it as it was. It's been that way the entire month, so don't want to change it at the last minute. And then we'll do probably an honorable mentions. It won't be a particularly long one, maybe 5 minutes or so. I've got 2 or 3 albums there that I also wanted to mention, so we'll do that as well. And that'll be the end of that series. Then we're starting a new series this week, of course. This is a Ben suggested series, so he came up with this idea, and he is going to participate in it, at least in that he's given me all of his picks, which I've copied down for the entire month. And when I start the episode, I will probably give his picks first, and then I'll give my picks. And surprisingly, a vast majority of them, more than 50%, I would say, are pretty close to similar, or very much the same. We both have similar taste in music, so it's not unreasonable to think that we'd come up with the same things. So I will give him. So the series is going to be called The Bands by Letters. So similar to Bands by Numbers, this will be Lands by Letters. And we're going to do a letter a day for 26 days. Starting on Wednesday, we will do letter A, then Tuesday we'll do B, and so on throughout. And he'll give me his 2 favorite bands for that letter, and then another one honorable mention one. In some cases, there may be 2 or 3 honorable mentions, but at this point, that's how we're going to go about it. And so that will start on Wednesday, and go through until probably the 26th of the month, and then we'll have a few days off, which is good. I need a bit of a break anyways. So having done that, that's it for what's going on so far at this point in the channel's history. I hope that you will find something of interest to you throughout the week. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Those are much appreciated. Notification bells above my head. You can hit that if you want to be notified of these. And if you have any comments or anything that you think that you thought maybe you would like a little bit more of an explanation of, or if maybe there's a suggestion in your box you want to put in the box. A lot of people give me album suggestions of bands. So what I do with those is I put them at the bottom of this week's list. There's a little space area, so I just write down those albums. And then when I get in the mood to go online and actually check some of these albums out, I tend to go through a period where I'll do a spree, where I'll do like 5 or 6 of them in one day and just listen to them. That's of course, difficult to do if you have time constraints, so I try to do it anyways. There's been a few bands suggested to me by people, and I will get to them. A couple of them I was really interested in, so I will definitely check that out. Anyways, I hope to see you all throughout the week, so please have yourself a good day and a good evening, and we will see you tonight with Commonalities Compared. So take care and goodbye.